Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and the Baltimore Ravens take on Myles Garrett and the Cleveland Browns in an AFC North showdown. Of course, the Cleveland Browns season has been a disappointment overall. What's interesting has been the quarterback situation, how you started with Flacco. He actually has some success now with Cincinnati, looked pretty good. And Dillon Gabriel has had flashes here or there. It's very clear and obvious that he isn't the clear-cut franchise guy, right? That's what the whole conversation is about, using a third-rounder on him. There's been a lot of speculation about Shedeur Sanders, where we might see him. And I got to let you know, I'm recording this video on Monday night after that Packers and Eagles game. So it is possible later on in the week there could be news. But as of right now, it does look like Dillon Gabriel will be the starting quarterback for Cleveland in this game at the Pound. Now, against Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, this presents all kinds of trouble. In their matchup earlier in the season, of course, this Baltimore team had a different feel to it. The team was coming off of a heartbreaking loss at Buffalo the first game of the season, and they routed the Browns. That was a game that they emphatically beat them. Game was somewhat tight in the first half, and then it just opened up a bit in the second half. It was only it was 20-10 end of third quarter, but it didn't feel all that close. And then Baltimore just opened it up there at the end. Quinshon Judkins, though, that was the game where I was like, okay, they've got something in this guy to work with here. He had 60 yards, 6 yards of carry against Baltimore, and Baltimore only had 45 yards rushing, but it was Lamar Jackson's 4 touchdowns that carried them in this game. For Baltimore, I think that this is a game that they win. It's hard for me now doing these predictions and seeing a team like Buffalo lose to Miami. There's been some crazy upsets this season, things that have shocked you beyond belief. But when we look at the Ravens and how they have answers, if Myles Garrett and the defensive line for Cleveland is able to wreck the game and get to Lamar, they'll have answers. They have Derrick Henry. They have a running attack that put up 150 yards against a very good Minnesota Viking defense on the road. This team just played a front in Jonathan Grenard, in Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen. That's a great front four for Minnesota, and for them to handle them somewhat and put up 27 points. Again, they did have a bit of that helped out from the fumble against Minnesota. Was it the cleanest day? Not at all. Lamar only had 176 yards passing, running only 36, but a win is a win, especially when it's on the road. So that's to say that this game could be close. A blowout week 2. It felt like the Ravens really flexed their muscle again. They put up 40 points back-to-back weeks to start this season. Here against Cleveland, I don't believe they have that type of success. I believe that Cleveland, after that first matchup and then watching the film from Baltimore, seeing some of these weaknesses in that secondary still that present themselves, that they're going to be able to attack that at some times. Naylor went off for 124. A little bit of that has to do with all of the attention that's drawn to Jefferson. Of course, Jordan Addison's one of the best number 2 receivers in the world. But Naylor goes up for 124 and a touchdown. And the legs of J.J. McCarthy, a factor, 5 carries for 48 yards. Now, Dillon Gabriel, not terribly more mobile at all. He's not a guy that's going to be a scrambler and taken off. I don't even think he had a single designed or attempted run in that game. He did have a lot more success, though, on the ground against the Jets last week. He's become a bit more aggressive and taking his chances. 54 yards on the ground on 5 carries. Judkins, 75 yards. They ran it for 160 on 5 yards a pop against the Jets. It was what was working for them overall in that game. They just played, that was one of the more, what's the best word to use for this? One of the more frustrating watches of a game, I'd say, this season. These two teams going at it. The quality of football was actually rather decent, and it was tough with the Browns. No interceptions from Gabriel, but he got sacked 6 times. Could have been sacked, it felt like 10 times. Will McDonald had a farm with 4 sacks on that day. Felt like he had 12. It was the type of Myles Garrett performance from him. Will McDonald the fourth, a complete game wrecker in that one. But Cleveland, they got to protect their quarterback, but also Dillon Gabriel, he's got to get the ball out of his hands. Jerry Jeudy was really expected to come on this season. That hasn't fully happened. And then Harold Fannin, you feel good about that selection this year in the draft, the third rounder out of Bowling Green. I like that pick. This is a Cleveland team that will for sure be going wide receiver, you would imagine, in the first round of this upcoming draft with Lemon and with Tate and Jordan Tyson, these guys, and most likely having a top 10 pick, and then the Jaguars most likely a top 18 selection. They'll have an opportunity to get one of those guys and add weapons, and then we'll see if they go at a quarterback. But against Baltimore, I still think that you can attack. Quinshon Judkins needs to get his 22 touches, his 20 carries, and dump it off to him 2 times. And you have to stick with the run. And I think that Gabriel will use his legs a little bit more. It's tricky with Roquan Smith running sideline to sideline. And getting him back in the lineup defensively has been awesome for Baltimore. He had 15 tackles, if you remember, week 2 against them. This past week against Minnesota, of course, they had a great performance from Wiggins, Malachi Starks, the rookie out of Georgia, playing quite well. Mike Green had a nice performance. He had a tackle for loss. So they're starting to get some of these younger players performing better. They need Mike Green to really come on. If he could turn into a star with that second-round pick, that could very much help out that Baltimore defense, especially the back end of the year without Madubuike to supplement a bit of a pass rush and a run stuffer. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens to win this game. Now, the initial spread on here is 9.5 points on the road. I'm going to have to take to take Baltimore in this game. I think they win it by 13. We'll see a better defensive performance. Getting after the quarterback has been a priority. They sacked J.J. McCarthy only once last week. They got to get more pressure on the quarterback, but the way that Cleveland's defended against the pass rush has been suspect the entire season. So, respectfully to Cleveland Browns fans out there, I know it's been not the season you were expecting, and all the fallout from the Deshaun Watson trade the last few seasons, giving away for 3 first-round picks, and then they decide this past draft that, all right, we're going to get Mason Graham, trade back from Hunter and Quinshon Judkins and Schwesinger there in the second round, and then they get the pick, the first-round pick from Jacksonville this season amongst their own. So they do have a chance, really, to right some wrongs there and turn things in a positive direction. They still have the best defensive player in the NFL. The Baltimore Ravens know how to defend that and to prevent a massive day from Myles Garrett. I could see a game here where Lamar has 10, 12 carries. He had 9 last week against Minnesota. They did a very good job of containing him. They have some very good athletes in Van Ginkel and Eric Wilson and Harrison Smith kind of roaming around. Blake Cashman, I want to say, had over 10 sacks in that game. So for this one, it's back to Schwesinger, where there was a great performance against Green Bay earlier in the year. He had a great tackle for loss in a big moment. I think like the last play of the third quarter, I want to say, crashing down on Love. That was probably like the program win that the Browns have had. But it feels like this Browns team has another one. A divisional win against Baltimore, whether that be against Pittsburgh or Buffalo later on in the season. I feel like this team is going to steal one of those games. There's a certain feeling you get sometimes within the division. I don't think it's this one, but you have the makings on that defensive side of the ball to be a unit that really can be very good for a while. They're still young with a bit of veterans laden in throughout that, and adding in more talent to the offense is only going to help your defense more. If they're off the field more and they're on the sideline and the offense is on the field, you're well rested and you're able to have better field position because your offense is moving the football down the field better. So I'll take the Baltimore Ravens to win this game 30-17. No, Marlon Humphrey hurts you, but again, don't really believe that the Ravens are that fearful of this Cleveland Brown passing attack and them vertically taking the top off of it with Dillon Gabriel. I'm curious. I would love to see Shedeur get in there a game or two and see how he plays, just to see what the kid's got. Took him with the 5th round. Would like to, at some point, use that. That's what's interesting about taking 2 quarterbacks in the same draft. So that's my prediction. I want to hear from you guys down below. Let me know who you think wins this game. I'm going to go with Baltimore because I believe the answers with Henry, Lamar Jackson on the ground, defensively, they really can sell out to stop Quinshon Judkins in the run game, force Dillon Gabriel to beat them on 3rd and long. They'll earn their right to rush the quarterback by putting 7-8 guys in the box to limit Quinshon Judkins to less than 4.2 yards a carry, less than 4 yards a carry, I believe. And then it's longer 3rd down scenarios, 2nd and 7, 3rd and 6 coming up quite often in this game where they can get after the quarterback and come up with some exotic pass rush situations. So that's really my prediction here for the game. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe for more Blitz with Blinder content in the future. I'm Josh Blinder. I make NFL and college videos every week, getting you set and ready for these matchups. It's still a big one. AFC North, these are the types of games we love. Black and blue division, implications for Baltimore trying to get back into it. They're right there on the doorstep now, just a game behind Pittsburgh and Cleveland, looking to pull an upset at home against their rival. I appreciate you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blunder, hi everybody, I'm Josh Blunder.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.